What's going on, everybody? This is RBL Season 13 Power Rankings. It's your boy, Tothoro, Tapumuku, probably several other names, and I'm here with...
It's Quinny Boy, the man himself, A-League's finest.
And Rebecca.
Yeah. All right, so it's Amateur Hour and Rebecca up in here for our first power ranking of the season.
How can you call it Amateur Hour when as I just stated, am A-League's finest?
That's a great question. What's our number 10 team?
Our number 10 team is everyone's favorite, fan favorite, crowd favorite. We have Flanch, the Atlanta Bronzongs.
The
average score of 8.3. Or average position 8.3.
Quinn, edit in a sad trumpet sound here.
No.
All right.
So just to briefly say how these were sorted, ballots were sent out to all the coaches in both Armor League and Crown League, and they ranked the teams 1 to 10, and we just took the average of it and then sorted them according to that. And if there was a tie, I think what I did was I put the person who'd given themselves a higher score lower down. So yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really matter for fun, just because he's down by quite a bit.
Yeah, he's down by a lot. Okay, so let's talk about this team.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna start because there were two main points about this team that I really was not a big fan of. Number one, no fantasy core because there's no dragon type on this team. Number
Also
two, no fire, water, grass core because there's no grass type on this team.
And also the fire type is Carcoal,
Yeah,
which is interesting.
gotta love Carcoal.
Also, number 3, there's a Porygon. That's not a typo. That's the right sprite. It is Porygon 1.
I mean, Porygon's kind of heat. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna criticize the Porygon pick. I'm gonna criticize the lack of everything else.
I think I might have suggested it to him as a joke.
You did. You did.
I might have done. Because I was picking up Porygon too. Spoilers, but and then we were both. Then mentioned teleport, and he was like, "Oh, teleport! Porygon has teleport. Let's go for that." Because he couldn't afford anything higher.
I will say, it's not a really good stuff on this team. Everything from Necrozma to Weezing, I think is pretty good. Those last 2 picks, a little questionable, and then the lack of a dragon and a grass type for me are the 2 main things that.
Okay. Special bulk, I think, is rather lacking on this team. Like, the only things which really take special hits well are Jellicent and maybe Necrozma. Everything else, ignore Jellicent for a second. Specs Hydro Pump murders everything.
Yeah.
Even from, I don't know, you want to run Specs Vaporeon, that'll kill everything.
I also just have a lack of respect for anybody that drafts Jellicent.
Pivoting wise, he's pretty good. However, also he doesn't really have super good wall breakers. Aside from maybe Mienshao.
Yeah.
Because other things Scissor and Necrozma require setup to really get going.
And Crook.
Crook, kinda, or you choice it.
Yeah.
But Choice Band doesn't do enough to really wall break effectively.
Yeah, but if you're choice band, you got that Moxie.
Yeah. And
But then you get outside of no code.
Earth Power, Earthquake. There aren't a lot of good answers there. You're really relying on Weezing for something, and Weezing doesn't have reliable recovery. So it's there's a couple glaring weaknesses that I don't feel like are adequately compensated for.
Fire is big.
Yeah.
Because short Carcoal 4 times resists.
And Jealousy
but-
obviously resists.
And Jellicent resists as well. However, beyond Jellicent, you're kind of scuppered when it
Yeah.
comes to fire. Like, I feel like his game plan has to be basically set up for like a Necrozma sweep kind of, or just like revenge kill as best as he can with Mienshao, Jolteon, Scissor, and Crook.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they're good revenge killers. However, you need something to not get revenged.
Yeah.
Like Scissors and maybe Crook are the only ones with like bulk good enough to like pivot in.
Yeah.
Even with Mienshao's regen.
I mean, I'm looking at his team too, and I think Flapple or even Appleton would have been a very good addition to his team, not just from the obvious type perspective, but just giving him some more bulk and some more reliable answers to things on his team.
I'm trying to think what he could have done. I'm trying to think. Was Garbodor taken when he took Weezing?
I have no idea.
It might be.
Well, with Garbodor instead of Weezing too, he has no ground immunity.
Yeah, but if he took like Flapple or Appleton, that gives him a resist in exchange for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, it's Flouch. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
He'll run King's Rock, Bullet Punch, Scissor.
Yeah.
Or flinch every time.
what he runs? Sandtomb?
No, Santom's an actual tech on Scissor, I think now, because I think it 1v1 stock specs.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that one. Let's move on to the next team. Number 9, we have Jake and the Minnesota Sea Kings. 6.8 average position, so somewhat significantly higher. So I like a lot of this team. Obviously, this team was very good last year with a number of the same pieces. Obviously, Ninetales and Gyarados can be a huge pain. But it's not as good as the team from last year on paper.
I think that's mainly because I think last season he had some dedicated walls.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that like can constantly come in, pivot in, sponge a hit, and get out is Eldegoss.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you've got Cobalion, but like Cobalion kind of wants to be offensive a lot of the time. And, like, so physical hits wise, your best wall for that is Gyarados.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't really want to be using that as your wall. Like, I mean, it's a very offensive oriented team.
Yes, of course. You
Very
kind of hope that you bring in Ninetales, get up your screens, and
then Gyarados to win.
Yeah.
Especially with Pips as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like Galvantula in addition to Gyarados.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Mm-hmm.
It's really this team's definitely just about being faster and beating you as quickly as possible without having anybody be able to stop you. But I think there are some obviously glaring weaknesses with that, because if it's somewhat easy to outplay if you're not stupid like me.
I remember I helped him mainly with the 2 last picks that he went for, which I think were Zoroark and Kangaskhan, mainly just because he had like 0 ghost switchings.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, Zoroark isn't a ghost switching, really.
Yeah, Kangaskhan's really the only one.
Mm-hmm. But the Kangaskhan's good.
Yeah, Kangaskhan's not bad. Actually, I like Kangaskhan a lot.
Kangaskhan is surprisingly bulky too. I mean, I know we're in T4 when we're talking about Kangaskhan, or T5, but for how low it is and how few points it costs, it's a pretty good defensive value.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, wish passing is quite nice.
Good old Zach's favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason, every time I'm team building with Jake, I always think that Eldegoss gets U-turn. It doesn't.
No, it does not.
I don't know why. I just keep thinking it does for some reason.
Edelgauss von Hresvelg does not get U-turn.
But like, if it did get U-turn, that would give it like so much more utility, just because you have your sponge with regen, you come in, you U-turn out, and you're like, oh, I've lost nothing and I've just gained positioning.
Completely unrelated, the size of Ninetales is making me uncomfortable. It's uncomfortably large.
Good.
That was the goal.
I feel like Rebecca knows the most about this team because Rebecca sees this team every week. So
Yeah.
I take your expertise on this team.
No. I'm trying to think. It was in this week's match against Patrick. We came up with an idea for Kangaskhan, and like we didn't really notice that it wasn't that an effective idea. But the thing is, though, it was a perfect counter to like one specific Aegislash set, which we were scared of, and we just kind of ignored everything else and ran it. It was Choppleberry Circle Throw.
Oh,
because
so my strategy.
No.
Well,
So
no, my
it was-
strategy is build around one particular set and ignore everything else. That's my strategy every time I have team build.
No, this isn't building around one particular set. This is making one particular set that does like pretty much nothing. So it was. So the plan was Aegislash uses close combat on Kangaskhan, goes into blade form, and then with your negative priority circle throw, you Oko it in return. Thing is, though, Patrick ran special Aegislash, so it was like just bad.
The heat.
It was almost so good.
But ultimately, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team really just comes down to, can Jake overwhelm his opponent?
Mm-hmm.
And
It's very one-dimensional in that it's very offensively oriented.
yeah, like aside from, I guess like your best physical walls are Gyarados, which you want offensive, Cobalion, which is like it's okay, but like, and Marowak.
Yeah.
I feel like he tried to compensate a little for his lack of defense in the last two picks there, but trying to balance T1 threats with T5 defense is pretty limiting.
It's tough.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on
Yeah.
to number 8, which is Aubrey with a 6.1 average. Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is... I actually like this team a lot in certain areas. Other areas,
I think
not so
you
much.
look at the first three. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
However, like there are obviously glaring weaknesses for those first three, mainly fighting types and ground types. And fighting types he's kind of dealt with, yes, but like ground types, not really. However, I should mention that Aubrey has made some transfers on this team, so you can basically ignore Mimikyu and Frostlass and replace them with Galarian, Weezing, and Cofagrigus, which I think like greatly improves this
Yeah,
team.
Cofagrigus is a huge addition. Helps a lot.
And
Galarian Weezing's
like
not bad
Weezing's
either.
one of the best defensive fairies in the game.
Yeah, that makes a pretty good fantasy core too.
Yeah, it still feels like a little frail,
Yeah,
mainly on the physical side.
I agree.
But Kofag and Weezing both really help that. But yeah,
I also
ground type are a bit of an issue still for him. But
Yeah. So my
maybe
team
I'm
is
just
very
blind. I don't understand the Stunfisk pick.
Stunfisk is good. I don't understand it on this team.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
It's a good
on this team in particular. Like you already have an electric and a ground.
and I feel like
It doesn't do anything as well as either of those two do.
in terms of roles, Gigalith does everything Stunfisk does,
Yeah.
but better aside from like Thunder Wave.
So my team is very similar to this in Crown League, and one thing I noticed as I was trying to put stuff together is when you get a sand core like Gigalith and Excadrill, you're really left with some compound weaknesses that you're going to spend the rest of the draft trying to compensate for. And depending on how all of the other picks go, that's going to be either easy or difficult for you. And I feel like he was, in a couple ways, left up a creek trying to compensate for those weaknesses after his first 3 rounds, because a lot of the very good complementary partners for those two are already taken by that point, because obviously they're versatile Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
However, like Weezing, like the more I look at his team, the more I'm like, oh, Weezing like really, really helps it.
Hey, I have Weezing on my team.
Whoa.
There's also no, because you said it was Weezing and Coffergeass that were added?
Yeah, over the 2 ghost types.
So no water type is a little interesting.
Yeah.
No, ice
no
type.
water type, and essentially no grass type. Shiinotic isn't a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like you can click Spore once, and then after that, you're dead.
Yeah. I don't know what at that point in time was available in terms of grass types. Probably not much, unless you wanted to go. Well, I guess points wise, you could have gone for something. I don't remember if anybody took. I always forget the name of the stupid anchor.
Dalmice.
Yes, that
was available. I know that because I did a transfer for it. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Well.
But even then, I still think that Shiinotic isn't the best grass type to pick.
Yeah.
For that, because like Shiinotic, it's meant to be like a defensive grass type with a good defensive typing. However, it's just not bulky enough.
Yeah, its stats don't support that.
Like I think it's better to go for like I don't know, Leafeon or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's about it for this one.
Yeah, not a bad team, but not as good as some of the other teams we're about to start looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Next is number 7. This is Patrick and the Claire Kingdras. This team, the first 2 picks in particular, when I saw that, I was like, this team is going to be absolutely horrifying, and I'm never going to want to face this team. And it is
horrendous to look for.
I still am horrified of this team.
This team drives people to insanity. This team caused Circle Throw Kangaskhan. So
Circle Throw Kangaskhan. I mean, that's kind of a great set. It just didn't work. So
yeah,
maybe one day.
Mm-hmm. So like the first 2, obviously amazing ones, and I feel like the main thing that I feel with this team is on both offensive and defensive, it's really lacking in one side of it. So physically, what good physical attackers do you have? Aegislash? That's it. Really, you got Hitmonchan, I guess, but like it's not great.
Yeah.
And then in terms of special defense, you've got Aegislash, and you've got Hitmonchan.
Wow. those 2 are the only things that are covering for half of this team's weaknesses. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, lack of I was about to say lack of reliable recovery, but I tell a lie. There's quite a bit.
Recovery's not awful.
Yeah. It's a shame that Gardevoir doesn't have more HP for Wish Passing. But.
Yeah. I unironically love this Firewater Grass Core because Tangela is stupid.
Tangela is beastly.
I hate Tangela so much. I have a history. I hate Tangela. Very good fantasy core as well.
Seismitoad is also just extremely versatile and very good in the current meta.
Well, it was. Now it's down to like RU.
Yeah, I mean, there's no more fish.
The things that it was really good against are kind of gone.
Mm-hmm.
I also just love
one thing that Seismitoad like really, really wishes it had was reliable recovery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way it is at the moment, like sure it can take hits well, but like you can pivot in once, maybe twice, third time, you're dying.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had reliable recovery on Seismitoad, it would be so good.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the speed tiers he's got. He's basically like complete control of the upper end.
Yeah.
And like a decent amount in the middle as well.
Yeah, a Selgor was a good pickup.
I think more Salazzle and Heliolisk,
Yeah.
just because it kind of forces like base 110s to run pivot.
A Selgor's always just nice to have, though, especially for the beginning.
Also, Hydreigon speed tier is so annoying.
I know.
It's like because so many Pokemon are 95, and that's just a little bit over it, and you're like,
Yeah, that's part of what makes it so good. I'm honestly a little surprised that this team is this low. Like, it has some...
I found the big weakness. His hazard removal is utter shit.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty bad. You got Hitmonchan.
And Hydreigon.
Yeah.
But like, you don't want Hydreigon to be your defogger.
Yeah.
So, looking back on Aubrey's team for a second, hazards on that team as well. Setting up hazards, very good.
Getting rid of them, not as good.
Getting rid of them, not so much. I mean, like, heavy duty boots, defog Talonflame is probably the best one, alongside Freezing. Oh yeah, and Drill.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, did you forget about Rapid Spin on Drill?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Overall,
yeah, scary team.
Yeah, Patrick's team not too bad. Some
Big
threatening
spot
things,
to
just a couple weaknesses. Okay, next. I think I know what's next.
Oh, look who it is.
It's me.
Yeah, boy.
5.7 average. I'll take it. I'll try not to talk too much about my team unless I need to defend my team or not defend my team.
I remember what I said about this team. I know I helped you like pick out some mons on it.
The last like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and like Toxtricity.
What I meant the last 3 or 4 minute last things I picked, but yeah, Toxtricity is one of those.
Yeah, one thing that stands out to me a little bit is speed. You're a bit lacking in that, and you don't have. I mean, you have Malamar, but Malamar is not the best Trick Room setter.
Yeah.
But you've got Noivern, and then it drops. I think it drops to Pissim.
I think
Milotic, I think.
Is Milotic faster than Pissimian?
I think so.
That shows you how little I actually have looked into the speed tiers. I mean, I picked Noivern because I was like, I need it. It's pretty fast. It was
tear through, which is like really good for it.
Yeah. It's like super, super, super incredibly discount Dragapult.
But with default.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll also say the first 2 Pokemon in general just are one of the best defensive cores in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love those 2.
Then you throw in Milotic, and it just gets better.
Right. I feel like Pissimian and Toxtricity like fill similar roles, but like on each side of the spectrum, which I think they combo well together. Just because you've got both. Oh yeah, and should say the pivoting on this team. I'm trying to think. I think it might be just the last 3 which don't have a pivoting move. I think so.
I believe that is the case.
Because you got U-turn, teleport, flip turn, volt switch, U-turn, U-turn, U-turn.
I do love me some flip volt turn. I feel like one of my obviously like with speed being a problem, it also is just like I don't have good. That means I don't have like a good fast offensive threat. Other than
you are quite reliant on Scarfers, but you have good Scarfers.
That's what's good. But I will say my own biggest complaint with the team is that I the lack of speed, offensive speed threats is a little different than the way I normally play. So it's a little bit of an adjustment.
I do feel like
it's certainly something to deal with.
You will be fighting a lot of like modest and adamant rather than Dolly and timid.
Yeah.
Which, like that damage does add up. However, I have
things I can eat it, but yeah, speed is a bit of a problem.
Like Piloswine and Colossal, they really, really appreciate Clef being there or the Wish.
Yeah, wish is almost like if I'm not running wish, I'm throwing.
Well, not necessarily, but like the boosted ones.
I mean, it depends on the team I'm bringing, but in a lot of cases, if I don't have it, like it's super important.
Because the thing I found with Colossal is its typing is actually really good defensively.
Yeah.
For like answering certain things. However, it can get worn down even with boots.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the two obvious like glaring 4x weaknesses, it does a lot to stop a number of things. Like a fire type. What does a fire type do to Colossal? Pretty much nothing.
Right. I mean, now that you don't have to worry about hidden powers too, that's a big plus.
Bless.
Oh, yeah, it's a good team. It's just could be a little faster.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with this. All right, moving on into the
also
top.
got hazard control.
Dude, hazard control is something that I really tried to make sure I didn't mess up. So
there's what 4 removers and 3 setters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not awful. Okay, moving on to the top half now. Number 5. Oh, look who it is. It's Rebecca. I remember giving your team kind of a low score, and I'm trying to remember exactly why.
Well, I should say as well, similar to Aubrey, I have done some transfers. So, Rhyperior,
Rest in peace.
Lurantis, and Doughblade you can replace with Delmise, Lycanrop Day, and Steelix.
Okay. You made good moves because I remember now. I'm not a big fan of Lurantis. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best thing in the world either.
It's a good tier 4, but like my team didn't really need it.
Yeah, I think Delmise is a good addition. Doughblade is a weird. Like Doughblade's good, but it's not the best thing.
It's very situational.
What were the other 2 things you added? It was Delmise and what?
Lycanroc Day and Steelix.
Okay.
Steelix I'm a bit iffy on at the moment.
Yeah,
but
Doughblade I think overall is better than Steelix, but I think that when you have Kyurem and you have Aromatisse, I think Steelix is fine. I think it works.
I think part of it was that because I have Paragon 2, and Paragon 2 is like pretty much my main defensive backbone, knockoff will be coming like most weeks.
Yeah.
And so having another Mon which is not only like susceptible due to Eviolite, but
also
type
weak to it
as well.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Right off the bat too, it doesn't with your original team, it looks like hazard control is kind of lacking.
It's not the worst.
I think it's 3 removers and 3 setters.
So I'm looking at like Kyurem, Starmie.
Get defog.
It doesn't?
So
it does.
So Starmie.
When I saw that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So I have Starmie too, and there's just so many things Starmie can do that you don't want it to have to run Rapid Spin every week, right?
Mm-hmm. I think the first 2 weeks I ran like utility Starmie, and it just felt kind of meh.
Yeah.
I mean, like week 3, I could afford to not run Rapid Spin, and I went with like a modest Life Orb Analytics Starmie, and I think it got like 4 kills.
Yeah, so, I've used Starmie in the past, and Starmie you can use it as a utility, but it really wants to be offensive whenever it can.
Yeah,
and so I think then letting it open up to that is certainly a much better option.
In Charizard, if you're using it as a hazard setter, you're most likely going to be using heavy duty boots, which really limits what it can do because, again, it has a lot of versatility, but you're kind of pigeonholing it if you want it to be your.
Not really. I think I brought it once so far, maybe twice. I think once. And I ran Specs because, like, I feel like with Charizard, if you're not like Specs Charizard is just so powerful that if you give it like any other item, it feels so weak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because
it also has like Dragon Dance sets can be very good.
Or like belly drum or something.
Yeah. Given its 100 speed tier, you get a Dragon Dance up and you're faster than just about anything, and your opponent has to find a way to deal with that. But if you're doing Dragon Dance and Defog, then your item has to be heavy duty boots pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's
interesting to see if I ever bring like defensive defog Charizard.
right.
Leaks. Don't give away your strats.
And so you have two Pokemon that want to do other things, and then you've got Lurantis starting out with your team.
And now Dalmais. But I think like Dalmais can afford to put Rapid Spin on more.
Oh, for
Just
sure.
because you can go like Rapid Spin 3 attacks. You're like,
Yeah.
I hit everything.
I think Delmaz is a really good addition.
Yeah, and I think that the trades were good, but looking at how it scored initially off the bat, that's one of the weaknesses that I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Been annoying me a bit is Heracross's speed tier.
Yeah.
Like, it's just slow enough where, like, the really fast Pokemon, you can't catch up to them with a Scarf. And also just slow enough where, like, some of their, like, big offensive threats are just above it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite annoying.
Yeah.
But, like, otherwise, I really like it.
Yeah, Heracross.
Although I've been running spikes on it most weeks rather than a fourth attacking move.
Oh.
Because spikes are nice.
I like it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On to number 4. Top 4. Let's go. Who do we have? It's Jay, the Newark Noctowls. Average position of 5. I have always had problems with Jay teams because Jay's teams are annoying. Now, granted, right? I did just play against this team and beat it, but you know,
It's like
spoilers.
what, 1 hour ago?
Yeah, not that long ago. It's an interesting team. I think anytime you can take Mew, that's really good. And I think Sylvalis are really
Yeah.
Sylvalis is a really great pick because it can fill up the holes, which there's not a ton of holes type wise, but Sylvalis can be there if you need an ice type. There's your ice type. If you need a fire type, there's your fire type. So depending on what you need for the week, it can do that. Obviously, it's not the best at any one thing, but it can do things well enough that I think it's a good substitute. And I really like the Sylveon with the Haxorus and the Bronzong because I think that is a very good core. And Sylveon Sylveon's just really good, and I think you pair it with two things that work well. And Bronzong I think is really underrated. I think it's much better than people give it.
Bronzong is like probably one of the like best value for money Pokemon in draft.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like it's never like good enough to get to like tier 2, but like it is like for a tier 3 it handles so many things so well.
Yeah.
And I like the Runerigus with it as well.
Yeah, Runerigus is good.
Especially because like you can combine like Toxic Spikes and then stalling with Bronzong a bit.
Yeah. Runerigus and Bronzong are both Pokemon that just always seem to take hits better than you expect them to.
Yeah. I agree.
I really, really like his double water.
I do too.
Because
It gives you both sides of the spectrum. You get a nice bulky hazard remover with Blastoise, or you go that, which I forget how fast Inteleon is all the time. It's
like 120.
It's 120. It's absurdly fast.
Yeah. And then you've also got some pivoting with Manectric and then Scrafty's here too, and Blossom.
Blossom's just kind of there. But you know what? Everything else is so good. Lovely Boy is lovely.
I'm trying to think, because for some reason, the team doesn't feel... It's not reaching out to me for some reason. I'm trying to think what it was. What was it? I honestly can't remember. I think it might have been like, I think it was lack of reliable recovery.
Yeah, it's not the best
Because you got
recovery.
Mew and Sylveon, and then that's it. Thing is, though, Sylveon gets pressured quite a bit when it wants to Wish Pass.
Yeah.
And like Mew, with Mew, you always feel, for me at least, you always feel like you're missing out on something. And like similar to Valley, because like both of them can either be extraordinarily good offensive or defensive threats.
Which I think also just, but like the fact that Jay has two of them makes it that much better. Like yes, like either one of them you could have the issue like, oh, I forgot, I'm running offensive this week and I think defensive in the moment now defensive would have been better. But at least it's like, well, if you're running Silvally offensive, like I just saw, an offensive set can work and can help, but a defense that might have been better. But at least you have Mew to make up for that. And I think it allows you more balance instead of being like, you have two things that are flexible, so you feel a little less like you're missing out on things.
And additionally, it's just very hard for an opponent to prep for that kind of utility, that kind of versatility.
Yeah, I like it.
Either of those Pokemon could be anything under the sun, and you're always questioning what you're going to bring against that.
Yeah.
And like I would say speed tier is a bit iffy, but not for Inteleon. Inteleon like really helps with speed tiers.
What's Manectric again?
105.
That's not bad.
It's pretty decent, but like for me, like when you think of a really fast Pokemon, you think 110.
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember how many things got added into with Isle of Armor, but I remember last season there were not many things that were that fast. Speed was
quite a few faster things got added.
But
like, you got stuff like Exam and that.
3 things on this team that are 100 or higher, I believe.
Yes.
Plus, I know Silvalli's 95.
Haxorus is 97.
So it's a lot of it's very good mid-range speed with Inteleon as well. So it's really not too bad. I think
also
it'll be fine.
Shell Smash Blastoise could be a thing.
Oh, you're right.
However, like, it's not that great of a Shell Smasher, but like just kind of like having the ruse of it being your defensive spinner, especially like if you want to bring it with Inteleon as well. Because like, okay, here's your defensive water, here's your offensive water.
And then all of a
you
sudden,
can just go like they both kill you.
Yeah. I do like this team. I don't remember if I put this number 1, but I know I put this team very high because I was a huge fan of this team.
I think I put it a bit lower down, but anyhow.
All right, let's move on to number 3. I think I remember who number 3 is. I'm not positive. Yes, it's Joseph, Minnesota Eon Twins. 4.8 average. We're getting real close now.
This team is so scary to prep for.
It is horrifying to prep for.
It was painful to play against, painful to prep for.
Yeah.
This is also your very stereotypical Joseph team.
Of course. You got the fire, you got the water, it's there.
And it always does well, so you can't really dig it,
Yeah.
The two things that stand, I think there were like three things more so. So 3 things. First of all, speed, I feel is a bit because like short
Dugtrio and Raichu are good.
Dugtrio and Raichu, not the best mons, honestly.
Like your speed is kind of weak in every other department other than speed.
So the other things were hazards. I don't think he's got that good hazard control. Because like his rockers are Komodo, Duraludon, and Doug. Komodo and Duraludon both really like being offensive.
Yeah.
And Doug is a bad Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I can't really take a hit and set up rocks. So
I think when I was like saying which one, like when I was like voting, I'm pretty sure I was like, not a big fan because I'm not a big fan of the fairy type. I always forget how good Comfey is, but not just how good it is, how good Joseph uses it. He just knows it.
horrifying with it.
He just knows
almost
how to
beat
use
my
it.
Charizard with it. It doesn't even have hidden power anymore, and it still almost beat my Charizard.
He just knows how to use it. Joseph, how? Teach me how to use this thing. Every time I see it, I'm like, this thing's awful, and I lose to it every time.
Yeah, I'd say arguably, honestly, the best pick on his team is Sigilif.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
I was about to say, Sigilif is such a versatile Pokemon, and its stats are all, not top tier, but high enough tier that
And
you can make it do what you want it to do.
It's tier,
Or Magic
what,
Card.
3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a pretty good pick for tier 3.
And it's a 4x resist to fighting, which there aren't a lot of those in the game, and
Yeah.
especially not good ones.
And when you have Obstagoon
Also,
and
the second-
Duraludon, it's not
Yeah.
bad.
I'd never realized until I actually played Joseph, Obstagoon murders everything.
Yeah, Obstagoon's
He's
good.
so victim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, the only way I beat it was I let it chip itself down with its own burn until I think it was Starmie killed it with Hydro Pump.
The strat.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the one other thing I was going to say is type-wise, I think this is more just how I beat him, though. He really doesn't like flying types.
Mm-hmm.
Specs Charizard, Okos, or 2 KOs everything on his team. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
But even a different flying type, like, the only answer I really has for it is either revenging with Raichu or something else, or taking a hit with Duraludon, and if it's a special flying type, Duraludon dies anyway.
Yeah.
I do realize that I am just giving you tips to with your Noivern, but
I already battled this team, so it doesn't matter.
already lost him. Oh well.
Yeah.
But like, Noivern would have been good.
I brought Noivern.
Yeah, but you lost with it, so clearly
Well,
you did something wrong.
I did a lot of things wrong. That's why.
Why have the game you completely through? No.
That's why it took me this long to get here. Any other comments, or should we move on to number 2?
I mean, just very classic Joseph team. He always uses it well. A lot of things that know their roles, and he always manages to get them to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not sorry for taking Milotic. If the team had Milotic, it would be way worse than it already is. So I don't want to deal with that.
It would. I was like, come on, that really appreciate Wish. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2, we have Cap, Toronto Swa Blue Jays, average position of 3.8. Those first 3 alone are horrifying. Just absolutely.
No. Not
nightmare.
even the first 3. Just Urshifu.
I mean, yeah. Urshifu's very good too. But Dragapult is very good. I know. It carried me for a lot of last season.
But like, it's really hard to try and do defensive counterplay against this team.
Mm-hmm.
Just because nothing switches into. Oh, I should mention this is the water type Urshifu, because the dark one got banned. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. Even though the water type Urshifu is a little bit worse and has better counterplay because you can like slap Rocky Helmet on something, like it's still really, really good and hard to tank a hit from.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 3 are really, really nice.
Yeah. I like the cores a lot too. They're both very good.
Whimsicott
Whimsicott is
quite good support.
Yeah, Whimsicott provides good support. And you pair that with Jirachi and Dragapult for that fantasy core. That one's very good. And then I love when a team can effectively build both cores using only 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
And this one works super well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing I'm going to say is that his hazard game isn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's very. I mean, like he has like 4 defoggers, well, 4 removers, and 3 setters. However, like Jirachi, again, it's a top tier threat. You don't really want it to be locking into defensive. It's good defensively, but you don't want it to be locked into Varol. And I don't think Sand Slash and Lycanroc really like fill that role well enough.
Yeah, I think the last 3 picks are just kind of to me. The first 5 are going to be enough to take
I
on
agree
most
with that, aside from Noctowl. Noctowl was terrifying.
So why do you say that? I'm interested.
Specs, Tinted Lane, or like Specs or Nasty Plot, Tinted Lens Hurricane.
Yeah.
Right. You also have to consider this is Cap, who doesn't miss Hurricane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, he did miss Hurricane against me though. So
I'm jealous. Yeah, but it didn't matter.
I might have done. I'm not sure because it was on Rhyperior.
It probably it might not have. Who knows?
Rhyperior was like the only one that got killed that game.
I think I think if you can get a good core built around Dragapult, and then you can also get Urshifu, like it's just how.
Also,
Just
should
that.
say that pivoting he has.
Yeah.
Like his first 6 Mons, only Urshifu does not have a pivot move. I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't get the water one?
I don't think it does. I don't think it gets flip turn.
Interesting. I guess it's not that surprising. Usually things that are like could be one of 2 types only get like a handful of the unique moves.
And also, his first 2 take hugely good advantage of Sticky Web.
Yeah.
Just because you have a Scarfer, Dragapult outspeeds it anyway. You're fine. And then you're trying to revenge kill Urshifu. Too bad. It outspeeds you now.
Is Dragapult the second fastest thing right now?
I think it's either that or I think it might be. It's either that or like a Selgor. Let me check.
Because I know obviously Ninjask, you know.
So speed.
The king of speed.
Dragapult is 4th.
4th?
Yeah, Ninjask, Selgor, Zero Aura, then
Right,
Dragapult.
Zero Aura. Right.
Zero Aura is 1 point faster.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, knock off.
But yeah, like that speed is really good, and this team in general is really good and really scary. And I have to play it next week.
I had to play it week 1. It was not a fun time. I had to stall and then like try and trick room.
Nice.
Somehow it worked. But
nice. Okay.
All right, and then finally
we have 1 team left, obviously. I don't even know what the average is for this team. 3.3 for SFJ's Miami Dawn fans.
And then this should also say SFJ has done 2 transfers. He's the best team and he still wants to improve it. So Licky Licky and Lantern have been traded for Mudsdale and Wigglytuff.
Mudsdale and Wigglytuff. That's interesting.
Mudsdale just because like he needed a ground type.
Yeah.
That was like one of his standout things for his team. Ground type / like a very more physical bulk. Then Lantern was Wigglytuff was more because he wanted another he was giving up Licky Licky and he wanted a good go switching.
Yeah.
I'm still confused. To me, Licky Licky and Wigglytuff are, very similar Pokemon. I get the Mudsdale pick. I'm just not as sold on the Wigglytuff transition. But
Wigglytuff is, I'm not an idiot, right? Wigglytuff's a fairy type, correct?
Yeah.
So that's
also gives him a fairy.
The only fairy type. He didn't have a fairy type before Wigglytuff.
No. Yeah, I think we were looking at, because I helped him pick it out. Initially we were looking at Alchemy, but then we just kind of compared it to Wigglytuff. Literally, like the only thing that Alchemy does better is have Recover instead of Wish, which is like, no, in addition to Wish.
Gotcha.
However, Wigglytuff higher HP for Wish passing, and like much better special attack. But like everything else, Wigglytuff did so much better.
Yeah, I feel like this team, the original team, The biggest problem was that it didn't have a fairy type. That was the biggest problem, and it didn't have a ground type. Those are the two things that was like
Yeah.
the biggest
And
knocks against it. And I think adding both of those things makes this team significantly scarier than it already was.
Anyway, the first 4 on his team, terrifying.
Yeah, really good.
You've got Rillaboom, and then you've got Holucha who just goes, "Hey Rillaboom, nice terrain. Thanks for the go fast."
Yeah. I also now with no electric type, I think electric types are very good and very important to have one. But I feel like this team just when you have Holucha, I don't think you really need one. Obviously, it's not like the same special threat that most electric types are. But he's just so good with this terrain. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Hawlucha plus terrain is one of the biggest arguments we had for the weather tech that we didn't end up passing.
Mm-hmm. Just because it gets like so much better when you can easily set it up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that I'm realizing now is like his team still has, even after transfers, still has good like pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
He's got teleport Slowking with regen. He's got intimidate, U-turn, Incineroar. He's got U-turn on Rillaboom as well. Like compared to some of the other teams, there isn't as much. Also, hazard-wise, setting up, he's pretty okay because he's got 3 rockers plus Scarpador. No, 4 rockers because Wigglytuff. Yeah, 4 rockers plus Scarpador. And then on the defensive side of things, he's got Holucha and Mime. And then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Mime is a good remover. However, I feel like he could do with some more removal.
Yeah.
Just because in the last game I saw from him, he was using Holucha as his defogger. So
Yeah. And that's not what you want with Hawlucha.
it doesn't want to be pigeonholed like that.
Yeah, that's about as far away from what you want Hawlucha to be doing.
Yeah.
Also, the speed tiers aren't great. However, Holucha just kind of go.
Yeah.
Holucha and Rillaboom together just kind of go, "Hey,
Yeah.
we don't care."
I don't really think that's that big of a deal. When you have stuff that's that fast, it really doesn't.
Yeah, and like there's barely anything that can switch into Rillaboom.
Mm-hmm.
He's also got some interesting trick room options though, because his speed tier isn't good.
Yeah, between like Druddigon and Copperaja and Mudsdale.
Yeah, Copperaja under Trick Room is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just heavy slam everything into oblivion.
I think this is just it's a very well built team.
Mm-hmm.
Druddigon isn't the best dragon. That's kind of that's another like minor complaint I have, but
No, he was when we were transferring. He was insistent that Druddigon stayed. I was like, "Oh, you could go for like Flapple and make use of a drain." And he was like, "No."
No, I mean Druddigon's not bad. It's by no means the best dragon, but it's not. There are way worse options. There are some dragons, and I'm not going to name any team names, but there's a dragon in Crown that I don't understand why it was picked, and it's significantly worse than Druddigon. So,
Okay.
just throwing that out there. So, is that everything? Are we all have we given all of our opinions on these teams?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it for the first power rankings, the armor power rankings. We still have a second one, the crown power rankings. When that will happen, who knows? Only time will tell.
For all you know, these could be uploaded at the same time, and this could make no sense.
Or the second one never gets uploaded.
Dun dun dun.
There's only 2 options. Now or never. That's it. Those are the only options.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
that's it.
All right. This has been the RBL Season 13 Armor Power Rankings.
Bye.
But
Yeet.